The full episode is now available on Patreon and YouTube memberships. Please see the link in the description for more details.
And we are back to talk about a couple of things in the news: Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. But first, for some reason, I stopped myself. I was gonna call you Carmine. I don't know what's wrong with me today.
I, you're crazy. This guy wakes me up. It's like 4 a.m. He's like, we got to do a podcast right now. I'm like, what?
What's it for? Did I hit you up at 4?
No.
Okay,
I'm just joking.
gotcha.
I was trying to claim that it was 4 a.m. now for me. It's like no. It's like 4 a.m. for you.
Yeah. I'm a night owl, but no. So I have to say, I haven't. It's been several years since maybe before COVID. Since we've had a summer where everyone's in the movie theater right now, because everyone's either watching Barbie or Oppenheimer or Mission Impossible 7, which you would think after all these Mission Impossibles that people would be tired of it. No, it's not like the fast movies. Like, apparently the new Mission Impossible is really freaking good.
I mean, is it doing that well? I thought it was also getting like a soft reception, but I will say, like, Barbenheimer, specifically Barbie itself, is one of those rare entire nation zeitgeist thing where everybody has seen it and like is talking about it. You know, Game of Thrones, first Avatar, you know, like something in which everybody goes at the same time and sees it. You know, like since the propagation of so many movies and so much streaming, it's like rare when you find people that are like watching the same shows as you now. And so you don't, but you know, there was these moments in the 90s when everybody watched Seinfeld, and then on Friday morning, they all talked about what happened on Seinfeld. And so it's interesting. We're having one of those moments in time where everybody's talking about the same thing.
Didn't that happen with you in regards to Game of Thrones? Like at the water cooler the next day after Sunday, like you and some of your colleagues talked about it?
Well, I tried not to talk about it. You know, it's hard to talk to normies. Come on. No, Mission Impossible is just only doing soft business. So
I'm assuming it's because Tom Cruise isn't able to go out there and promote it. Plus, the Barbenheimer thing, that is essentially a meme, and I feel like this is such a great tactic that studios will probably start capitalizing on, because very rarely does a movie get out there in the cultural zeitgeist unless it's like a meme. Like Morbius. Morbius was fucking terrible, but it's Morbin time. That really catapulted it onto like another level, which
into
the
only
studio...
being a slight bomb instead of a major bomb.
Yeah, I mean, it counts, right?
I guess. I mean, a lot of these things, it's tough to know how, like, if they're bombs until you see how much they cost, you know? So, like sometimes it's like they do plenty of business, but because they're so expensive now, it's you know, they're considered bombs. You know, for instance, like Solo, for example, that did plenty of business. Everybody saw it, but it just cost so much. So I think Barbie, Barbie has a lot of things going for it. One, it's focused at an audience that doesn't get a lot of movies focused at it. And I'm talking like just focusing, like, we're going to go straight for women, but not romantic comedy. You know, we're doing an interesting kind of movie that that's a bit experimental, and it's going to be a heavily skewed audience that's often ignored, you know, and so they all, you know, certainly women came out in force to see it, you know.
I wouldn't argue that this was because I saw Barbie. I wouldn't argue it's a film for young kids. But then again, I don't really know any young kids, because in my opinion, it seems like young kids they have the attention span of squirrels. But this definitely seems like a movie for women who grew up with Barbies and maybe like the young teenage crowd. For like, clearly the movie wasn't, you know, marketed for my demographic, but there's still stuff. I can't say it was objectively bad because it's not targeted for me, and I didn't think it was bad or boring, but I didn't think it was like amazing either. Like, I'm more excited about Mission Impossible than anything because I love those films. But for the most part, I thought it was fairly enjoyable. Barbie, I thought it was funny in some parts. I love the Kens; they're fucking hilarious. And it could be preachy, yeah, but that's the point, you know? Like, what else are you going to do with Barbie besides preach about, you know?
What's funny is that they had so many Easter eggs in there for people that were into Barbies that the regular person just wouldn't know. And it's the kind of the same thing as like all of the comic book Easter eggs. Like, oh my God, did you see that thing? Because like in the 90s, like this one character, this comic book character did this. They did the same thing with the Barbies, you know, like throwing in Midge and Alan and all these different kind of like concepts that are like only for big Barbie fans, you know. So and then I think they also had this benefit of all the other movies have been bombing this summer. And so they kind of said, well, we've really got to go all in with this marketing push, especially with everybody striking and everything. So this is kind of the last hurrah. And so they really pushed it. But it's impressive.
So you say
apparently
that
it's the highest grossing women targeted movie, and it's the highest grossing movie by a woman director.
It seems to be one studio. Well, maybe I want to say I wanted to put in Warner Brothers in there because they lost a lot on The Flash, but it seems to be mostly Disney this year because I sent you the link here from Variety by Rebecca Rubin. Disney's harsh reality, costly film flops, creative struggles, blah 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 blah. For the past decade, Disney has been a Teflon movie studio, remarkably adept at withstanding the tectonic changes impacting the film industry. But she goes on to mention a couple of films that came out this year, some of which you've seen, that have kind of not been that great and didn't really make money. Ant-Man, Indiana Jones, Elemental. I'm looking here. Over the past this other guy on Twitter, he put out a good list. Over the past 3 years, Disney has theatrically released 7 original films. Elemental, Strange World, Turning Red, Encanto, Luca, Raya and the Last Dragon, and Soul. Guess how many of these made money? Exactly none. People claim they want something new, but they never show up. True. He's got a point. None of those films, which most are animated, really made any money. Even Indiana Jones was kind of a flop.
Here's the difference when you're marketing a family film to a theater. Like this is a new world, right? Where we have streaming. And so when you're marketing a family film, it's a lot more costly to take a child to the movie theaters than to market something to like the single 18 to 49 white male demographic guy, right? Because that guy, he calls of his bro and he's like, hey, you want to see a movie? Yeah, why not? Each of them are paying for themselves. You're paying one ticket. You're going. You don't need to get a sitter or anything like that. That's an easy cheap trip, you know? And then meanwhile, family, like I've gotta like get 2 kids, both parents, like you're paying for more tickets for something that you don't need the spectacle of a theater to see a cartoon. The kids aren't appreciating it, right? That's a lot different than seeing an action film in the theater. So, like, why wouldn't I just wait on streaming? The kids don't care. Kids don't care that a movie just came out. They can wait 3 months until it comes out on streaming, and I can watch something else on streaming with them. So, in a sense, if streaming is going to kill one thing, it's going to kill the family film. Because it's just a lot more expensive to bring your family to the theater. And it's a different type of movie. You know, like, there's not too much difference from watching something on the small screen than the big screen with an animated feature or a romantic comedy or one of these sorts of things. You know, the movie that should be the most resistant is the huge spectacle movie. Oh, you've got to see it on the big screen. Oh, you've got to see it in IMAX. You know, it should be the Avatar 2s. So, and so what's surprising is that, yes, the Disney family films are failing. They should be failing, okay? Because why shouldn't streaming be killing them? I think it's surprising this summer that the big blockbusters are not doing great. Fast X didn't do great. Transformers did, I think, okay. Indiana Jones bombed. Mission Impossible is not doing that well. You know, the weird thing about this year, Oppenheimer is doing as well as, one can expect because it's freaking Nolan, right? Mm-hmm. I think the surprising things this year, there's 2 big surprises. Barbie is one of them because, you could say, like, why should this be seen on the big screen? Like, it's a comedy. It's a cute little comedy, right? Why not wait to the small screen? But no, it became part of the zeitgeist. You've got to go see it now. You have to say that like, oh, I was part of Barbenheimer. The other thing that's weird this year is the QAnon movie.
Sound of Freedom. Yeah, what is that about? Like, why?
The tagline, and I don't know that much about it, other than that, like, technically speaking, it's a well-made movie, like well directed and well paced and everything. But the description is the incredible true story of a former government agent turned vigilante who embarks on a dangerous mission to rescue hundreds of children from sex traffickers. I mean, I can let me look up the wiki synopsis, which gives a little more. Here we go. Oh God, this sounds horrible. Tim Ballard, a special agent for Homeland Security investigations, where he arrests people who possess and distribute child pornography. His painful work takes a great toll on his personal life and only worsens when other agents have been arrested as child predators, but have failed to save a single child from being exploited. Tim knows that this because most of them are outside the U.S. Okay. But Chris, and so Tim knows. So he speaks to a predator who's arrested and pretends to be a pedophile himself. Once he gains the trust, he sets up on meeting with a trafficked child, and is able to arrest Earl Buchanan, the man who purchased Miguel. Tim rescues Miguel, befriends him, and okay. So
damn, you're going through the whole film. This is the whole film.
At least they're okay. So at least it's like it's at least him. It's sort of like Taken, right? Because he's at least claiming it's all international stuff, but it's like he's like rescuing kids from pedophiles. By going to Colombia and stuff. So at least it's not quite saying, at least this says it's not quite saying that's people in the U.S. government. So in the epilogue states that Tim Ballard testified before U.S. Congress and claims his testimony resulted in laws being passed to require government to cooperate with foreign countries on sex trafficking investigations.
That sounds like a normal random movie you'd expect.
It sounds like Taken. Yeah, it sounds like Taken.
You expect some like aging Hollywood movie actor to like be in like Seagal or something. So
yeah,
this is a really interesting time. Like for the longest time, I thought theaters were kind of like going out of style a little bit because people just couldn't wait until streaming. But no, this kind of proves that if you're making somewhat original stuff, people will come out for it. Oppenheimer's original. Barbie, yeah, that's kind of original. When was the last time we had a Barbie-esque type of film like that, or Barbie like adjacent? The last time I can remember, maybe Legally Blonde. And that's
where it's like kind of weird and quirky and stuff like that.
Where the female protagonist is like super smart and very happy and peppy, and you know it's all pink and whatnot and very, very feminine. I can't think of one.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess something like Legally Blonde. I'm trying to think of like other weird, quirky movies that might be similar. But yeah, I mean, obviously you've got like lots of toy-based movies and stuff like this, but this seems to go beyond this. This is like, you know, it's political, it's ironic, it's meta. You know, there's a lot of quirkiness to this whole thing, and so hit at the right time for everybody. Plus, let's be honest, it's got a really incredible cast with like really great actors and a really great director, right? So like that doesn't hurt, you know. It doesn't hurt when it's a technically well crafted movie, which I think, you know, because that means all the jokes are going to land. You know, when you see a movie that's not technically put together and the jokes are just a second off, like the delivery is just a second late, you know, like Anchorman 2 or whatever,
Anchorman 2.
you know, or like, you're like, you know, you know, or Zoolander 2, you know, like everything's just a little off, a little lazy,